Cremation is just like burial.
Correct.
It's an option that you have for disposing of your loved one's body.
It's a proper burial.
Life insurance policies are for funeral home burials.
Come on.
They think it's for funerals.
Come on.
You know, and I think that it creates generational wealth when you're able to put ourselves in our community in a better situation from that, then I think it'll grow. I think that it'll be better for others.
Absolutely. Is a special day, you guys. I would like to introduce you to one of my favorite funeral directors in my life. This person is the epitome of a funeral director in my personal opinion, and I would like for him to tell you guys in his own personal words the reason why he became a funeral director, why he loves it, all of the things in between. We have a couple of questions for him, but I'm going to introduce to you guys Mr. Bobby Joe Ginn Jr., my bestie in the funeral industry. And so welcome to the show, Bobby, and thank you so much for coming on to answer these questions.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. No problem. You know you're my girl. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's fine. That's fine.
So we are going to be asking Bobby some questions. Now he do not know the questions that he's going to be asked of. So it's going to be directly from the heart, some honest questions.
Woo!
I know you can do it, Bobby. I know you're the perfect person for it.
We're going to do it. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to be here.
You are. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my first question for you, Bobby, is what made you become a funeral director?
All right. Oh, you reaching back.
Yes.
What made me become a funeral director? I think that goes probably two ways, Trey. People, because I love people. I'm just a personality, for people. Have that personality. But also my bus driver was Earl Richardson Sr.
Gotcha.
And he was just this cool guy. His persona, his whole dynamic about him, his personality, he was just this cool guy. And to find out who he was and what he did, that kind of sparked the interest a little bit.
Gotcha.
You know, and then I had an uncle, Johnny Barkins, who was in the funeral industry, and he had a business partner, Mr. Calvey, Darryl Calvey, and all of those people kind of played a key factor into me really wanting to be in the funeral industry. But I picked up on it early. I think I must have been, I know for sure, going around the funeral home with my uncle when I was about 10, and I actually became active into it to learn more about 13.
Gotcha.
You know, my first embalming that I saw was Mr. Calvey, but my first interaction with the real part of the industry was with Mr. Richardson.
Okay.
You know, because he was a bus driver. He was the first person I came in contact with from a youngster. And just through time, you separate, come back together, one of those things.
Gotcha. So you was on the bus, you was just riding on the bus, and he was a funeral director. So did you know this already? Oh, you didn't know it. So he just took you under his wing, and y'all started going to the funeral home.
Well, he took me under his wing, and I don't know, the first day I got on the bus, he liked me, I liked him.
Okay.
You know,
he was an old soul anyway.
Yeah, you know, people always said that.
Exactly.
So I had to climb up on the bus with my knee.
Gotcha.
Because I couldn't, I was just too short to step up on the bus. And he was like, come on here, boy.
Right,
and that's the way he talked. I got on there and he actually put me on side of him.
Okay.
And that's why I rode on the bus from my house to the school for a while. And he had been he was in the family, in our family.
Gotcha.
And it's just one of those things, you took a liking to somebody. And he was calm, cool, collective, and everybody loved it.
Wow.
You know, and including me.
Gotcha.
So it was one of those things. And probably when I was about 13, I first started driving to school. I drove to school early and had a license.
Come on, no, we in the country now, y'all.
Yeah, we didn't have no license.
Really wasn't worried about no license.
You was driving at 12.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got you.
So
I got you.
I was going and I recognized where his funeral home was, where I could stop by, and I'm gonna go in here one day and see Mr. Earl.
Right.
I hadn't saw him in probably about 3 or 4 good years, and just talked to him.
Right.
And we was happy to see each other, laughed, talked, and it went from there, you know.
Right.
And I told him I wanted to help him.
Come on.
And he was like, okay, all right, baby, well, come on around.
And I could imagine it was kind of like me too. During that time, computers and stuff had just started getting into play, and so that's kind of like my aunt. She really didn't know a whole bunch about computers and, you know, the new age stuff. So it kind of probably was like that. Let me help you. Let me do a little bit of this. And
it was actually very similar to that, because as I got involved, I started seeing ways I can bring technology into the funeral home.
Gotcha.
And now that was hard.
Right.
Now he know any of his brothers or anybody at the funeral home knew anything about computers and all that.
Leave that stuff.
That was just for the important thing. Their certificates, because we were just starting to move to Lears or preparing to go to Lears.
Right.
That was it. You didn't use it for nothing else. Everything was handwritten. Hand folders. Escort forms. Everything was sitting in.
Absolutely.
You know, but he was my first experience. And actually, as I think back, the very first time I stepped foot in the funeral home was their funeral home that was across from the high school. And the old funeral home, well, the second one. The first one was the Shotgun Shack, but the second one, the big place.
Gotcha.
Right across from Amite High. And I got sick on the bus, and Mama was off that day. And he took me to the funeral home with him. And she came and picked me up.
Okay.
And but I got a chance to
look around.
The grimness, so I would have thought. But,
right.
You know, and that's when I first recognized what he did, but not really knew what he did. I think I might have been about 6 or 7.
Gotcha.
When I just saw that first experience. You know, and
it was kind of like, I understand what you're saying, because in the beginning it's like, okay, I know dead people are in there, and I know they back there, and I just don't know exactly what they doing.
Right.
You know, I'm intrigued. I want to know. I want to find out what's going on. How is they making them so still? At this time, I knew nothing, or we probably knew nothing about they're going to be dead forever or burials. The cemetery part wasn't a part of it. It was like the dead people are in there.
What was happening?
Exactly.
Like my Uncle Johnny up at Angelic. Look, I'm going to give you $20. Go back there and cut that man toenails. Right. So you can be ready for the funeral.
Exactly.
I said, I'm going to make them $20.
Right.
I didn't mind trying to go back there.
Right.
He stopped me to do, you can't go back there right now. Wait a minute. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, but that was how I got my, my interest was pretty much peaked.
Right. So you love people, and then you had a positive experience from the man in the community, Mr. Earl Richardson, and that really made you love. So it's probably similar to me. It really wasn't the funeral industry that I loved in the beginning. It was the person.
Right.
It was the person who drew me in.
That's right.
And that's the type of person that I aspired to be. You know, my aunt kind of drew me into her personality, and I wanted to be that cool, calm, collective type of person, and so we got the same kind of similar situation going on.
And that's the thing, like, you know, when you saw Mr. Earl, you saw Mr. Richardson out in the community, he made people laugh. He made people smile. They loved him. There was never, if you saw him just out in the community, you couldn't put the connection,
he was a
death
business
care,
owner,
and him together. You couldn't put the connection that he owned a lucrative business in the area, because he treated everybody the same.
Absolutely.
You know, you'd see him riding around in his dually pickup truck with a load of cows.
Come on.
You know, or, he going to the auction, or he going to fix fence. And, and then on Saturdays, you see him dressed up, going to funerals, or, so just being that natural community person that was just basic.
Gotcha.
He never did too much, as they say nowadays,
Gotcha.
So.
Well, that's good. That's a good answer. Great answer. Okay, so my next question for you is, so I can kind of assume how long, because that was going to be a question, how long had you been in the industry? So we already got that. So from 10 years to now, you have been in the funeral industry. So tell me, what is the absolute thing that you love about the death care industry?
What I love about the death care industry, I would say getting that positive feedback from a family that has went through the worst part of their life in losing somebody, and to know that you have fulfilled their last honors. You have made the family feel good by planning a memorable service. You've made their loved one look very presentable for everyone to come see. So you've helped them through a very, horrible time.
Absolutely, it's their worst day.
And although, and you know this, what we go through that week in getting prepared for that service can be hard. It can be trying, it can be stressful.
Absolutely.
But no matter how horrible it may be for us to take that burden off of them, when we get to the end, that feeling you have is just, I think it surpasses any other feeling. And that's what keeps me there, being able to carry others' burdens in that moment.
So this is a passion for you.
Oh, it's definitely a passion.
Definitely a passion.
Because if I did it for the money, if I did it for the fame, it wouldn't be true.
Gotcha.
It's definitely a passion for me.
Gotcha.
I can say that.
I agree. I concur. Same thing. So my next question is, okay, so we know we are in this death care industry, and we know all of the myths that we've heard through the years.
Many.
So I want you to tell the people, what are a few or a couple of myths that you would like to change the mind or the perspective to kind of empower these people, because our ultimate goal is to let people know who we are, not to be afraid to, to talk to us, and to be afraid of what we do, and to plan their funeral. That's our ultimate goal, is to have people plan their funeral and not be afraid. So I want to know from you, think really hard, what is a myth that you would like to change people's perspective on about people in the funeral industry, or just, the death care industry in general?
Right, okay. There will be a couple of things there, and I would say myths and also misconceptions.
Gotcha.
Let's just say for beginners is disposition. All right. Cremation. I would just like to be knowledgeable to people, especially in our African American communities, what cremation and what forms of disposition truly are, because cremation is just like burial.
Correct.
It's an option that you have for disposing your loved one's body.
It's a proper burial.
Whether it be at the cemetery, for the burial, or if it's going to be a cremation, then you may do an inurnment. They're at the same cemetery, because people don't know they have that option.
Correct.
You can have a full service, memorable service with the body present, all of that, and then cremate afterward.
Correct.
So that if you have loved ones who are scattered, they can take parts of their loved ones with them.
Correct.
So that would be one of the misconceptions, that you're just burning a body.
Right. Because that's what I'm not gonna burn my mama up.
I'm not burning my mama. I'm not doing
that. That is so silly to us, knowing that it's a proper burial. Yes, it's cremation, and historically Black African American people, we just don't do cremations, but it's a more a less expensive way to properly dispose of your loved one. You can still, like Bobby said, do the service, have a cremation, and all of that. So I'm glad you said that, because that's a huge misconception.
It's like, whoa. And a lot of people don't understand that, and we don't have it, say, in the country as much as we do in the cities, but having columbariums, which is where they have the niches, where you can take an actual urn and go to a cemetery and place it in and visit, just like you visit, the casket in the vault that's at the cemetery.
You can still do the committal service and all of that.
And it can be very nice and very memorable.
Correct.
And that's one thing. And then second thing that I would like to really address is that people think life insurance policies are for funeral home burials. They think it's for funerals. And I think that it creates generational wealth when you're able to distinguish the two. Back then we used to have burial policies.
That's right.
That was for the funeral home.
That's right.
Your life insurance policies was to make sure that those that you were leaving behind had some funds to do what they needed to do to live.
There you go.
And to excel them and push them to it. If you had grandkids or children who needed to finish college, where they got $30,000 going to them for that, and this going to them for that, and there's allotments. So I would like to get people to realize that generational wealth can be created from us passing on. So how is that possible? Well, it's all about preparing. And that goes into the third thing is pre-planning.
That's right.
That's right. And doing that early.
Because the sooner you get it, the less expensive it is on you and your family.
Exactly. Because that's just your dying and your funeral is just a very small portion of how it affects your family.
Absolutely.
The funeral is just that's the beginning.
That's it.
We tell people in the cemetery, I'll tell them, the grief really starts now. Because that's when people have to think about, what do I do next?
Right, because you're living your life now with this person missing from your life. Right. So yes, I
and when we can put ourselves in our community in a better situation from that, then I think it'll grow. I think that it'll be better for others.
Absolutely. And then it's like, we are going to die. Everybody is going to die anyway.
It's inevitable.
So why not, since you have the opportunity to place your family or your grandchildren or your loved one in a better financial situation, and if you could do it sooner, why not have something like that put in place? So many other groups of people, they have already been doing this for years, and we are just now getting to the fact where we can actually use life insurance for something besides a burial. So I'm so glad you mentioned that misconception, because we will definitely talk more about life insurance, burial insurance, pre-need funding funerals, pre-need arrangement of funerals.
That's a whole topic in
itself. We're going to talk.
Pre-planning is a topic.
Absolutely. And that way you can get exactly what you want. Nobody is in the arrangement office fussing over what grandmother's favorite color is, because grandma already got it written down. Nobody have to fuss about what grandmother want to be buried at, because it's already planned. She already said what she wants. So, Bobby, I'm so glad you struck a nerve, honey, because I can't wait to get that information. Absolutely, to get that information.
And then it leads us to the fourth one. Getting to know your funeral director.
Come on now.
Your undertaker.
Come on
your
now.
mortician.
Come on.
Whatever you want to call us.
We all of that.
There's, just like other businesses, there's several of us in our communities, because everybody doesn't mix with everybody.
Absolutely.
And it's not saying that you have hate for somebody or not, but you might like Bobby Ginn's personality.
That's right.
May mix well with the family.
That's right.
Versus going to Miss Veal's.
That's right.
Or Miss Treyvon Veal's. We like her. We like what she do.
Absolutely.
And that really puts you in a perspective in knowing how you're going to plan things for your services.
Absolutely.
Many times when people pass, and we was talking about this earlier, it's, what do I do? And the first thing on that list is a funeral home has to be chosen. And people don't think about that until that time comes.
Absolutely.
But if you take a moment and just get to know your local funeral directors, get some knowledge about them, what their values are, how they treat their families, how they treat people, how they view you.
Right, because those things are very important when picking a funeral home.
Yeah.
You want to know these people and how they feel about you.
That's right.
Before you go over there, you start spending a whole bunch of, money to bury a loved one there. Me personally, I would never go to a funeral home and not know who I'm dealing with, so that's a very good point that you made there.
And among several others, I think I'll stop there. But
because we could probably talk
go
about
on
it
and
all
on when it comes to these myths and
days.
misconceptions.
Absolutely. So those are some good answers, Bobby. I thank you so much for those. So my last and final question.
I'll get another one.
Yes, one more question for you.
All right.
So, Bobby, what is your ultimate goal?
Okay.
In your career of funeral directing, what is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to have funeral homes within the state of Louisiana that implement and create this generational wealth that I'm talking about. And so I don't want it to just be the normal mortician undertaking business. I want it to be where we're selling life insurance and we're selling burial policies, and we're educating our people financially on this and how, you know, death is inevitable.
Correct.
How can we benefit from it? How can our families benefit from it? So I think that's my ultimate goal. You know, being able to establish that, and then establish something, of course, for my families, my personal family, when I get married, when I have children, you know, leave something for them, a legacy to continue on. But I really want to be known as that person that has educated people, you know, and especially our African American community. I just feel we need educating.
Right. We need the most of turning our minds and our rethinking, and you know,
and that's just because of where we come from.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
I hate to hear the thing that white privilege, and I hate to hear, well, they got that because they were white, because of the color of their skin.
Correct.
Listen, I'm not saying that some things don't happen because of that.
Absolutely.
But I'm saying that in this day and time, our people that came before us, our ancestors and our predecessors, fought for us to be where we are.
Right.
And the avenues is there for us. It's accessible.
We can level the playing field now.
Exactly.
Even if it just starts with
it might start a little,
Absolutely.
But we can climb
without
all the obstacles that others had way before us.
That's right.
And so I just want I want to be that person, and I want my firms to be that firm.
Gotcha.
That helps people with that.
That's very good. That's very good. I never knew that was your ultimate goal, but I really appreciate that. That's really good.
That came from growth.
Come on.
That came from me stepping away from the small town stuff. You know, you grow up in a small town, you have a what they call that tunnel vision.
Gotcha.
You know, one-way mindset.
Absolutely. So you got a broader.
You step out. You know, conventions.
Right.
When you meet people like Gregory B. Levitt.
Come on.
Willie Watkins.
That's right.
You know, these people who are entrepreneurs, John Beckwith with Golden Gate, many other people that I can name, and you see where they are, and where their families are, and then you hear the way that they talk, and you say, "This is how this is happening. This is how they're gaining. This is where they're getting where they." And we need that here.
Absolutely.
You know, in Tangipahoa Parish, and East Baton Rouge, and West Baton Rouge parishes. That's Louisiana. Period.
Right.
I think we need it. And hopefully it sparks something throughout the nation with funeral homes, period, both white and black.
Correct.
You know, educating, because I'm actually finding out that even the Caucasian firms are having issues now with people understanding the importance with insurance and all of that. And that's just generational.
Absolutely.
You know, we're just in a time, what are we, not millennials, we the Generation X, I can't remember.
Right, we somewhere in between.
Me with that, but I never kept up with it. But you know, it's that thing.
Yeah,
we were educated. Our grandparents and stuff were educated.
Absolutely.
When Mr. Richardson came around with that book, you knew you had to make insurance paper for your burial plan.
That's right.
You got to pay Mr. Richardson and John.
Absolutely.
That's all it was.
That's right.
You know, but then you also met. We had, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he was with a financial investing group, and there was a few of them that came around. Right. And you had certain families that
were able to
picked up on, and they knew. And then I can look at those same families today and see how they have surpassed.
Absolutely. But and then another thing, you know, we sometimes when we haven't had the opportunity to learn that or know that or come from that information, it's a shocker. It's like, okay, is this a scam or is this?
And that's the way it used to be.
Absolutely.
You be at the kitchen table. You be around the kitchen table, have all this stuff laid out. Because I could remember the people coming to our house.
Right.
And Dad and them, when they left, they was looking at each other like, you know, that sound a little too good to be true.
Put this amount in, and then 5 years later, I'm going to get this amount.
You see what? That ain't. Man. But you found out
it was legit.
That it was legit.
Absolutely.
You know. So, and we need to get back to that.
We do.
Even if it takes us going back out to the doors, or having informationals like this.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a new day and time. We don't have to knock door to door.
Right.
But it's ways we can get it out.
Absolutely.
It's ways people can get, you know, knowledge.
Absolutely.
Become knowledgeable. Become innovative then.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Bobby, for your answers to all of my Great questions.
Yes. You had
Thank
some
you.
good questions.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you had me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy.
Absolutely. You are a very important person in my life, and I want you to know that. I look up to you, even though I'm older than you. I really like your style and all of that, and I know.
And it goes both ways.
Absolutely. You
and
know
when
somebody.
a lot together.
We have.
That's another story
Absolutely.
too.
But we have overcome all kinds of things, and our relationship have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
But the main thing that Bobby and I would like for you guys to know, even though we talk about death, and this is to open you guys' eyes, we really want you guys to live. We really want you to live your life
to the fullest.
Absolutely. Plan this stuff, do all the things that we telling you to do, but live your life, in a graceful manner, in the best of your ability, and good things are going to come to you. Absolutely.
And look, when we talking about planning, then take and put it on the mattress. And just take stuff and pick the mattress up, put it under there.
Absolutely.
Put it in your safe deposit box, put it on your file on the computer, and send it to all your children, whatever.
Right.
And then be done with that.
Right.
Now, to live your life.
That's right.
Like you mentioned. Build your legacy and enjoy your life.
That's right.
One thing, your life is short.
It is very short.
We see it.
All the time.
Life is short.
Death has no perspective on age at all.
No.
So, our last words to you guys, me and Mr. Bobby Joe Ginn Jr. is to live your life, you guys. And thank y'all for tuning in. You got any last words, Bobby?
Nope, I'm good. Look,
good?
Tune in. I think this is going to be great.
Yes.
And the information you're going to have that's forthcoming is going to be beneficial.
Absolutely.
God bless y'all.
Thank you.